Good morning, students. Now, today we will discuss the concept called overview of project planning stepwise. The heading is the overview of project planning, stepwise project planning. The plan is nothing but the planning. The plan is nothing. The planning is everything. Plan is nothing, but planning means we can analyze the things and we can form a plan in the form of document. By following the document, we can do everything in the project so that we can do the things according to the document, planning document, so that we are able to do the things in a systematic manner without any mistakes. That's why we need a planning document before doing the project. Okay, so now the topic is the overview of project planning. Okay, we will discuss this project planning step by step. Now the thing is we can discuss stepwise how the project is planning. Okay, that is step 0. First we have to select a particular project. Step 1, identify the project scope and objectives. We have to identify the project scope and objectives. We already discussed. Objectives are nothing but the goals. Okay, at the end of the project, what do we do? What do we achieve? Right? What is the outcome that is required? Is it is all the requirements of the customer are satisfied or not? We have to check for that. And next one, identify objectives and measures of effectiveness in meeting them. Next, in the second point, we have to identify the objectives, that is goal, and measures and the terms of effectiveness in meeting them. మనకి కస్టమర్కి ఏదైతే రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయో ఆ రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ అన్ని ఎఫెక్టివ్గా ప్రాపర్గా మీట్ అయ్యామా లేదా అనేది వీ హ్యావ్ టు చెక్ ఫర్ ద ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ అండ్ మెజర్స్. అండ్ థర్డ్ వన్ ఈస్ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ ఎ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అథారిటీ. Project authority is nothing but the project manager. He is responsible for starting point of the project to end point of the project. So that we have to establish a project authority. And next one, stepwise project planning. This is the diagram. This diagram shows that how the project planning is done stepwise. As we discussed that in the step 0, we have to select a project. In step 1, we have to identify the scope and objectives. Okay, here in step 2, we have to identify the project infrastructure. After that, the third step is analyze project characteristics. We have to, what is the third step? We have to analyze the project characteristics. After that, go for the next step, that is identify products and activities. We have to identify the products and activities. Next, fifth step is estimate effort for each activity. For every activity, we have to estimate the effort, how much effort to put on each and every activity. That is step 5. And in the step 6, we can identify the activity risk. That means risk is nothing but some problem. Already we discussed that each product we can divide into sub modules, and each sub modules contains different types of activities. After performing the activity, we have to ensure that the task, the activity is working fine or not. Suppose the activity contains the risk, contains the risk factor, that is nothing but the problem. We have to analyze how much serious that problem is. we have to identify the severity of the risk. That is the sixth step. The seventh one is allocate resources. That means we have to allocate different types of resources like manpower, systems, or equipments, or technologies, or softwares, etc., etc. Whatever the resources that are required to do the particular project, we have to allocate all the resources at this level. And next, eighth point is review plan. Okay, review means we have to revise, we have to discuss the things. And next one is execute plan. Okay, executing is nothing but implementing. The project is executed according to our plan or not. Okay, that is executing. And then, so these are the nine different steps. We start from step 0 to step 9. So we will discuss one by one again. Step 2, already we discussed with step 0 and step 1. What is step 0? Select the project. What is the step 1? Identify the scope and objectives. We have to collect all the requirements of the customer, and we have to ensure that the project will meet the customer requirements and objectives or not. So that is the, we have to identify all these things at step 1. Okay, step 2, identify project infrastructure. Infrastructure is nothing but the needs. Establish relationship between the project and strategic planning. So the project manager is responsible for establishing a strong relationship between the project and the planning and the strategic planning. Identify installation standards and procedures. Here in the step 2, we have to identify all the types of different standards, installations, and procedures we have to follow for performing the particular project. And next one is identify project team organization. We already discussed that the project is doing by the team of people. So we have to identify the project team organization, which team is going to do the project. So all these are the points that are identified in step 2. Next, go for step 3. Analyze proper characteristics. Distinguish the project as either objectives or the product. Distinguish the project as either objectives or the product driven. We have to analyze the project characteristics. Already we discussed in the previous class characteristics of a project, right? Where we can, there are different types of characteristics of a project. Here in the step 3, we have to analyze all the project characteristics. Here the first point is distinguish the project. We have to differentiate the project as either the objectives or the product driven. Okay, we have to differentiate that. Next one is analyze other project characteristics. That means we have to compare the characteristics of another project with our project. Okay, based on the comparison, we can analyze something. That's why before starting our project, we have to analyze another project characteristics to get something. And next one, identify high-level project risk. So already we discussed project risk. Risk is nothing but some problem. We have to identify all the high-level project risk. Whenever we are going to implement the project, after completing some task or the activities, we have to ensure that the activities is having some risk or not. Depending upon the type of risk, the severity of risk, we have to resolve the risk factors. So we have to identify all the high level risk in step 3. Take into account user requirements concerning implementation. And next one, select the general life cycle approach. We have to select we have to select the life cycle approach. The life cycle contains different types of phases like initiation phase, and next designing, coding, testing, uh, deployment and maintenance, like that. There are several different phases that are involved in the general life cycle. We can select the general life cycle approach, and next we can review overall resource estimates. In the step 3, we also review that. That means review means we have to discuss that the overall resource estimates. Already we discussed that the resources are nothing but different types of resources like manpower, equipment, softwares, technologies, infrastructures, etc., etc. All these are the different types of resources. We have to estimate how much manpower is required to do this project, how much time is required to complete this project, how many modules that are required to complete this project, how many employees that are required to complete this project, what are the different technologies that are required to complete this project. So we have to estimate all these things. All these are done in the step 3. And next go to step 4. Identify project products and activities. Identify project products and activities. We have to identify the products and its activities. Identify and describe project products. We have to identify and describe means we have to discuss about the products. Document generic product flows. Document means we have to write in the paper. Okay, we have to document it. We have to write it on the paper regarding the product flows, the flow of developing. Recognize project instances. And next, produce ideal activity network and modify ideal to take into account need for stages and checkpoints. So see here, this diagram represents that a fragment of an activity-based work breakdown structure. Already we discussed the work breakdown is nothing but we have divided the whole project into small tasks. So this is the entire project. This project is divided into 3 sub parts: analyze, design, and build. Again, this design is again classified, that is divided into 3 parts: data design, process design, and physical design. Again, this data design is classified into 2 parts: relational data analysis and logical data analysis, so that we can break down the structure into different parts. Here, this is the diagram which shows that this oval shape, this indicates the user requirement, that is the needs of the customers. The overall system specification. This overall system specification is we can divide it into module design. The overall systems project system can be divided into different modules. Module design. This module design can be further divided, can be developed into the module code. That means we have to develop the code for each and every module. After developing the code for all the modules, we can integration system test cases for all the modules. వీటన్నిటికీ మనం ఏం perform చేయాలి? We have to perform integration testing for all the module codes. After that, we can get the integrated tested software. Okay, this is the user requirements. Based on that, we can develop the overall system specifications. So we can divide the entire project into modules. This module, each and every module can be developed in the form of code. After developing the code, we have to perform the system testing on each module. After that, we have to integrate all the modules into one. So that is called as integrated tested software, right? This is activity network. Only the system requirements. It can be divided into, we can design into different modules. design module 1, module 2, module 3, and so on, module n. We can divide it into n modules depending upon the size of the project. Parallelly, for the module 1, we can go for developing the code for module 1. Similarly, for this module 2, the code should be developed. For module 3, the code should be developed. Similarly, for all the n modules, parallelly the code should be implemented for all n modules. After that, all the modules are integrated together, are combined together. That is called as integrated software or integrated tested software. Right? All these things can be understood by the above diagrams. Next, go to step 5. Estimate effort for each activity. We have to estimate the effort for each activity. Carry out bottom-up estimates. The estimates can be carried by using some approaches. Here we are carried out the estimates by using the bottom-up estimate. Revise plan to create collaborative activities. We have to revise the plan. That means we have to revise the plan so that if there is any changes, we can make the changes to the existing plan. If it is really required for this plan, we can create the controllable activities. And next, go for step 6. Identify activities risk. Okay, after completion of each and every activity, we have to go for checking whether it ensures that activity contains any risk factors or not. Identify and quantify activity based risk. We have to identify, and quantify means we have to measurable the activity based risk. After completion of an activity, we have to identify and measurable risk factors, whether that risk is a small risk or major risk, or it is complex. Okay, we have to identify the severity of the risk. Plan risk reduction and contingency measures when appropriate, where appropriate. The plan risk reduction and contingency measures should be taken where it is appropriate. Adjust plans and estimates to take account of risk. Okay, we have to adjust our plans and estimates to take the account of risk. That means to count the number of risk factors. Go to step 7. Allocate resources. Allocate resources means we have to provide various types of resources that are required to perform the project. Identify and allocate the resources. Identify means which resources are really required to do the project. We have to identify all the resources. After identification, we have to allocate all the resources to them. Revise plans and estimates to take account of resource constraints. Okay. Next, staff priority list is generated based on the task allocated to them, because some staffs are used for more than one task. Okay, staff priority is generated. We can give some priority to the staff that are involved in the particular project team. The staff priority is generated because it is based on the task allocated to them. ఈ priority అనేది దేనికి ఎందుకు allocate చేస్తామంటే based on the task that is allocated to each and every person that are involved in the project team, because some staff are used for more than one task. But that means the staff is highly efficient or skillable. Okay, some staff members are used for more than one task, so that we can list out the staff priority, right? Next, Gantt chart pictorial representation when activities have to taken place and which one has to be executed at the same time. We can represent the activities pictorially, that is diagrammatically, by using Gantt chart. when activities have to take place and which one has to be executed at the same time. That means we have to, once the activity is completed, is done, it should be represented pictorially, right, by using Gantt chart. The chart represents when staff will be carrying out the task in each month. This Gantt chart pictorial representation is used for representing when the staff will carrying out the task in each month. ఏ మంత్ లో ఏ స్టాఫ్ అనేవాళ్ళు ఏ టాస్క్ ని క్యారీ చేశారు. To describe that, it should be represented by the Gantt chart. For example, here in this slide, this is how we can show the Gantt chart showing staff tasks. These are the tasks and these are the months. The first task is system requirements. That means we have to gather the system requirements. ఎప్పుడు జరిగింది సిస్టమ్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ గ్యాదరింగ్ అనేది ఎప్పుడు జరిగిందంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ డన్ ఇన్ ద మంత్ ఆఫ్ జనవరి అండ్ ఫిబ్రవరి. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ the second task design module 1 is carried out in the month of in the middle of February to middle of March. After that, for that module 1, the code should be developed parallelly in the same middle of February to March. After that, design for the module 2, when it will be carried out, it is carried out in the month of March and April. After that, the code for the module 2 should be developed. It should be carried out in the period in the month of February and March parallelly. After that, in the March and April. That means this is integrated software. That means we can combine the module 1 that is carried out in the month of February and March. After that, the module 2, which is carried out in the month of March and April. Okay, this combined integrated software should be carried out in the month of April and May. This is how the staff task is showing in the chart, right? Next, go to step 8, review plan. Review quality aspects of project plan. Review means we have to discuss, we have to analyze, we have to discuss the quality aspects of project plan. So in the project plan, how the quality aspects are focused, we have to discuss about the quality aspects. Next one, documentation plans and obtain agreement. We have to prepare the documentation plans and get the agreement for the documentation plans. Next, steps involved in project plan reviews are define the problem. What, if any, risk work has already been done? What is the problem we are trying to solve? So for these questions, we can find out the solution and determine the focus. Select the appropriate tools. Identify the participants who are participated to solve the particular problems. Document the review plan. So this is about step 8. And step 9 and 10, execute plan, lower levels of plan. It may require the reiteration of the planning process at low level. Reiteration means again doing the same plan again and again. Reiteration. Iteration means one cycle. May require the reiteration of the planning process at low level. At low level, if it is required, you can do the same task again. So that is called as reiteration. Detailed planning of later stages is necessary. Okay, in later stages, definitely it is necessary for necessary the detailed planning. Depending upon the detailed planning only, we can move forward in the later stages, because the more information will be available than at the starting stage. At the starting stage, okay, not that much information is available, so that we can go with the rough plan, but we can dig out into the deep into the later stages. Definitely it is required to have the detailed planning. By using the detailed planning only, we can move forward efficiently and effectively, because in the later stages more information is available. We can get the more information from the customer than the starting stages, so that because of that information we can develop the project efficiently in. So these are the different steps for planning. Okay, this is what about the overview of project planning. So these are the 10 steps that are involved for for preparing a project plan. So this is the uh, today's topic. We'll stop the session here itself. We'll discuss the remaining topics in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.